Welcome to Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. I'm Darf Mike, coming to you live from the Xcloud, and we've got a bunch of tasks to tick off, so let's get into it. Ubisoft had their second Ubisoft Forward reveal this September, unveiling a bunch of new games and new details about already revealed titles, all headlined by an old game. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is finding its own time travel as it gets a remastered edition, bringing the 3D action platformer to a new generation. Now, this game is a complete classic, and it had a lot of people fall in love with it, so if they do justice to the remaster, that's all well and good, and I'm excited to get a chance to dive in once more. Next up is Immortals Fenyx Rising, and if you don't recognize that name, it's because it used to be called Gods and Monsters, until Monster Energy apparently filed a trademark dispute, and Ubisoft put their tail between their legs and ran in the other direction, completely changing their name, so that it now sounds like the next entry in a very generic young adult novel series. I mean, seriously, Immortals Fenyx Rising? That sounds like a straight-to-DVD movie. This is the biggest word salad of game ever. The gameplay itself looks interesting. We've only really seen a cinematic trailer. It's an open-world action game set in ancient Greece, in a world of myth and mythology where the gods have been imprisoned by a titan, and you have to battle to get them back against all sorts of monsters. The game could be good, it could be bad. Frankly, at this point, it's a wait and see. Many more games, but the ones that interest me are, first of all, Riders Republic, which was just immediately teased as an extreme sports multiplayer game that frankly looks like real-world extreme sports Fall Guys, and I'm intrigued. Next is Monster Camp, the sequel to Monster Prom, a game where you try and get a date to prom in a world where you're all various horror monsters. So it's a romance dating game with all sorts of quirks, and the camp iteration, no idea what it's gonna look like, but it should be a wacky, wild, kooky good time. Again, in the old made new department, Halo 3 ODST is dropping on the Master Chief Collection on September 22nd. Now, this is just another classic Halo campaign to play through and a new edition of the multiplayer, so go ahead and check it out if you already have the Master Chief Collection, and if not, pick it up. It's a piece of video game history that's a blast to play through with friends. In an exciting turn, Psyonix have announced they're taking their flagship game, Rocket League, free to play on September 23rd. The game features rocket-powered cars flying through the air to knock balls into goals, and it's a bunch of fun. But it's been out for a while, and this free-to-play move should inject a whole bunch of new players into the audience and revitalize a game that's already had a few turns around the sun. So if you haven't played it yet, it's a ton of fun. It's free to play now. There's no excuse. Go check it out. Fall Guys have released their mid-season update, which adds a whole bunch of new mechanics and gameplay features to the game, tweaks some things slightly, adds anti-cheat features, which will hopefully get all those cheaters out of our fall ball games, and most importantly adds a giant hammer named Big Yeetus that will randomly appear on gauntlet maps, swinging wildly and sending your beam flying forward for good or for ill. It takes an extra element of zaniness and injects it into the already insane levels of Fall Guys, and I can't wait to check it out. Microsoft have unveiled their cloud gaming service as part of Microsoft Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, where for $14.99 a month you can cloud stream games from whatever platform you have that's enabled for it. That means that, yes folks, you can now play The Witcher 3 from your smartphone, apparently. We'll see how this one works. Obviously, other ambitious projects of this nature have failed, like Google Stadia and others, but Microsoft seems pretty committed to making their subscription service as dang appealing as possible. In this instance, it means there'll be a computer somewhere running this game, and meanwhile, you'll be porting it over to your phone and somehow controlling and taking command of the action. I'm so curious to see how latency and whatnot is actually going to work on this, but if it's as good as they're pitching, this could be a revolutionary leap in gaming and completely change the way the game market works. And that's clearly what Microsoft is trying to do. They want us all subscribed to that service so that we can be drip-fed games constantly. And look, if it's only $15 a month and you get all of these games that are promised, I think it's going to be worth it. Well, that's it for us this week on Field of View with Nerd Street Gamers, your weekly dose of gaming news. I haven't seen anyone else in a while. I wonder where they've got to. I should go find them.